everyone. Welcome to another session of Voice of Finance, a series of conversations with CFOs and senior finance leadership on how digital challenges are a way for finance to transform and to help the organization to transform. Today, Michael Rolle is joining us to share a bit of his experience and his insights on this topic. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining us today from Bonn, I think.
Correct.
Michael, you are CFO at DHL, but it's my understanding you hold two positions. How you have come to be at the forefront of the finance organization in DHL?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Belén. So I have two roles, as you mentioned. I'm CFO at the DHL contract logistics business here in Europe. So that's a business where we do supply chain management for all kinds of industries. And also I do run our e-fulfillment business as a CFO, which is a global role. Before that, I was doing corporate development and M&A at DHL, and before that, working in private equity, so on the other side of the fence.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. It gives you a unique position to see what's happening in finance, in the market, and in the industries that you serve. How do you say, via the unique position that a company in supply chain has, how do you see the market, what's happening, and how this impacts finance?
Yeah, as a big logistics group, you have the benefit of seeing developments in economic activity quite early, because you see all kinds of markets. We are in 220 countries and all basically product groups. So you see how things develop and derive conclusions from it. For 2022, up until now, we still see a very strong year for us. We've increased our guidance. We're still seeing strong growth in our revenue. We do start to see some shifts in supply chain activity. Our customers are starting to be much more focused on resilient supply chains, not just cost. So they're much more concerned about the value of their supply chain and how robust it is. So that is a big area of focus. And then when you look at the impacts that COVID has had on our industry, of course, it has been a driver or an accelerator of growth. So you do see a little bit of normalization now in that part on e-commerce. But if you take that out and look at just where we were before COVID and where we are now after the normalization, it's still a strong structural growth of 20 to 50% in the parcel volume. So the overall growth trend is still there, but the COVID effect is basically now gone. And then lastly, what do we see also on air and ocean freight? I think we all remember the supply chain disruptions that have been happening or still have impact until today. There we also see a normalization happening. We're almost back at the pre-COVID levels in terms of rates for air freight and ocean freight. So also this market has largely normalized again.
Oh, so interesting. So you are a bit ahead of your customers. You see how things are happening. Does it happen as well in transformation and the need to adapt how we serve and how we organize? How is digitalization in DHL?
Yeah, it's a big topic in our industry, and automation and digitalization are a key pillar of our strategy. That's why the group strategy is also called Delivering Excellence in a Digital World. So we have committed to investing a significant amount of money, 2 billion euros in the next years into that topic. And it's also necessary because if you look at our operations, automation is a key enabler of our industry. We are now, if you compare to other industries, we're now at this point in the S curve, basically where technology is really starting to get traction. It's driven by the availability of technologies. So a lot of robotic solutions are now available and scalable, but it's also very much driven by e-commerce again, because e-commerce requires logistics companies to handle a large amount of different SKUs, so items, manage very volatile developments. If you think about the peaks you have in e-commerce, in Christmas and Black Friday and all these developments throughout the year. And it also puts another requirement on efficiency and speed. So that has driven also the need to automate logistics operations. And lastly, you also have a starting lack of labor force in some countries where automation is also an enabler to continue to operate and grow. So that's why automation is a big topic in the logistics industry overall. And with that, also, we are trying to digitalize our functions and finance through various initiatives. We have started to lay the foundation for that by harmonizing our ERP systems globally. So we have migrated our division completely onto Oracle and have now started last year to go on the next version, which is Oracle Cloud. So Oracle Cloud is now starting to be deployed and gives us the opportunity to connect more digital solutions more quickly across our operations.
That's great. You have talked about that foundation, that need of digitalization. With digitalization also comes a massive amount of data. How are you managing that data journey?
Yeah, data is key to develop useful solutions for us. So the one thing is handling transactional data and processes as efficient as possible. I think many companies do that already today, and so do we. So we have looked to automate our transactional processes in our shared service centers over the years using RPA, using automated booking processes. So basically from the requester until the payment of the invoice, there's no more manual interaction needed, using supplier platforms and all these things, which I think are more or less standard now in most industries. But we are now focusing very much on using data on the controlling and finance side. And there we're looking really at a few areas specifically that we have already deployed digital and AI-supported solutions over the last years. And maybe I can talk about a little bit about some of them. One is the area of cash management. So what we're doing is we are collecting all the data around the world that we have from our customers on their payment behaviors as we see it develop in countries and across periods. And we use this data with algorithms to predict how likely a late payment of a customer will be on a given month, on a given period. Do we need to take action early to avoid this? And also using that to track the credit scoring of a customer. So if payments start to fall late, is it an indicator of a credit risk that we need to pay particular attention to? So this is already very much deployed and a very standard product that we are using, and which helps us to improve our cash management. The other side that we're looking into is the controlling side. So there we're using the data that we see on the volume developments in different regions and different products and industries to help us predict better how the volume development will look like over the next period, next weeks, next days, next months, whatever is needed, to be able to plan our resources better, to better prepare for volume changes, but also using these insights to help our customers plan their own supply chains better and generate insights. So if we see, for example, demand for certain products growing in certain regions, we can derive conclusions that this will most likely also recur in other regions, so customers can prepare, or vice versa. Same with disruptions or shortfalls on supply and demand. So this is something we're looking into, this predictive element of predicting volumes. And then last but not least, we're also using data and algorithms to help us improve the quality of our business cases. So our business is driven by contracts, and for every contract we have to put together a business case and approve it. And a lot of work goes into refining this and to improve the quality we use. So we've built up a database of all business cases again around the world from all customers that we have. And then whenever we have a new case, an algorithm basically matches that to all the other business cases in the database and looks which are the most similar business cases and what kind of learnings have we derived from those business cases when they went live, what has gone well, what has gone wrong, what do we need to pay specific attention to, is it a certain element in IT cost or a certain element in wave planning or whatever it may be. So that helps basically the reviewers to improve the quality also and the results of our business cases once they go live.
That's very interesting where you are automating, you are generating insights anytime to help the business. You're giving greater levels of transparency across the organization of what are those cases, which is a very unique way of proving the value, networking. It's very interesting. I can imagine all those changes post a specific challenge in finance professionals. How are you living that?
Yeah, indeed. So it requires yes, changes in the organization and in talent. So what we have done is first of all, we've established centers of excellence around certain digital topics in the group. So there's 7 themes that we are focusing on, where we have experts in the center that work on these technologies, look at use cases, either from new use cases that they develop or that come from the outside, or requirements that come from the business, and look to deploy these technologies. So we're looking at blockchain, data analytics, data lake, IoT, automation of back office, automation of physical operations, and API. These are the focus areas that we have on the digital COE front. And then we have in every country and region digital champions. So, colleagues that are dedicated to rolling out these technologies, adapting them, coordinating the implementation, and also collecting, again, use cases where the business says, this is an area where I would like to get a digital solution that can help me automate or improve the quality of a certain process, and then feed that back into the development stage. Another point is that we've made digitalization a fixed agenda item on each and every review. So whenever we have a management review, whether it's with a site, with a country, with a region, it's a standing item that we discuss. What has happened, what can we do to accelerate, what can we learn from other regions, etc. We're looking, of course, also to recruit the right talent pool. So looking at data analysts into our COEs. Of course, that's like all companies. We are also on the hunt for that. And last but not least, digitalization has also become a fixed pillar of all our training programs. So we have an internal academy where we have a cert called Certified. So all finance professionals, every year have to run and complete certain trainings and programs. And digitalization has become an important pillar in that as well, to make sure people become aware, colleagues are aware of what we need to do, what we are doing, and how they can play a role in this.
Michael, thank you. You have been so generous to share with us so many elements of your digitalization journey. Typically, we make these conversations pretty snapshot to keep them fresh and lively for our audience. But each of those topics would deserve like a fully fledged conversation. So thank you very much for sharing this with us. If you don't mind, we would like to keep exploring, and maybe in the next session we can go on topics more profoundly or go in other elements of your agenda. We know that you are very active in other elements that are top of the agenda of every CFO as of today. But I think it should be another day.
Happy to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being with us. Stay tuned for the next sessions of Voice of Finance.